Okay, 7th graders, this is one of my first videos, so I'm a little nervous, so bear with me. You're going to hear a little tapping, stuff like that, just kind of get used to it. But anyhow, let's get going. So today we're talking about 1-4. In 1-4, we're talking about the order of operations. Now, you may have heard this before, but simply, you think about doing a math problem, you're doing it basically the same way as you get up in the morning. You know, you don't put your shoes on before your pants, or you don't put your socks on after your shoes. So there's a certain order of operations, and in math, it's the same exact way as well. So we have, what we got going on right here, we have kind of the steps that we use. So to start off with, we are going to evaluate the expressions inside the grouping symbols. So if I were to go ahead and write an example down here, let's say I've got 5 plus 12 minus 3. Can I go ahead and put them in parentheses? Okay, sorry about that. I went ahead and paused it and rewrote. But anyhow, say we have 5 plus 12 minus 3. We need to figure out what that equals. Well, it really depends on, we have to start off doing the expression inside the grouping symbol. So if I have a grouping symbol here and a grouping symbol here, I could also use something like this. This is also called a grouping symbol. And there's not an undo, so I got to redo that. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. And there's also grouping symbols that look the absolute value are grouping symbols as well. So then you need to go ahead and put and do that. So moving on, we have 12 minus 3. We have 5 plus 12 minus 3. These are inside the grouping symbols. Therefore, we need to do 12 minus 3 first. And 12 minus 3 is 9. Okay? We have 5 plus 9. Next, we need to evaluate all powers. So I look right back up here. Are there any powers in this situation? No. Then we need to multiply and divide in order from left to right. Okay, that's the third step we need to do. Then our fourth step is add and subtract in order from left to right. So in this case, there's no multiplication, there's no powers, and there's also no adding and subtracting inside the grouping symbols because we got rid of them right up here. So now what we need to do, go ahead and add and subtract from left to right. So ladies and gentlemen, we have 5 plus 9. 5 plus 9 is 14. Okay, so moving on, I went ahead and put the order of operations and put it in here so you can have a pretty good idea of what's going on. So the next I want to talk about is 5 times 3 squared minus 7. And I still want you to go through the order of operations. So evaluate the expressions inside the grouping symbols. Are there any grouping symbols? No, there's not. There's no parentheses anywhere, so there's no grouping symbols. Next, you need to evaluate all the powers. Well, ladies and gentlemen, do we have a power? Well, yes, we do. It's right here. What is 3 squared? We know 3 times 3 is 9. 9 minus 7. Then we put the 5 multiplication out here. And I'm going to use a dot right here for my multiplication sign because when we start writing variables, it gets kind of confusing writing an X there. So next what we have, zoom out just a little bit. So next what we have, ladies and gentlemen, we have multiplication. We did number 2, step number 2, evaluate all powers. Next we need to multiply and or divide in order from left to right. So we have a multiplication here, and then there's no division after that. So we need to go ahead and do 5 times 9. So 5 times 9 is 45 minus 7 equals, and I'm just going to put a question mark right now. Now we've done, step number 3 is done. Now we need to do step number 4. Add and subtract in order from left to right. 45 minus 7 is, of course, 38. Okay, once again, I went ahead and added this order of operations up here for you to go ahead and look through. So first off, still evaluate expressions inside the grouping symbols. Next, evaluate all powers. Then multiply and divide in order from left to right. Make sure you do left to right. That's pretty important. And then add and subtract in order from left to right as well. So as we move on here, we have 14 plus 3, and then we have 7 plus 2 in the grouping. Now we can do this a couple of different ways, but what I want you to do first, we can multiply first, but it doesn't give us our evaluate the expressions inside the grouping symbol. So let's go ahead and do 7 minus 2. 7 minus 2 is 5. Go ahead and keep that in the grouping symbol. Make your 3 to the outside because you want it to look roughly the same. We'll go ahead and put our 14 plus 3 times 5, or 3 and 5 inside the parentheses. Let me zoom out here for a second. Move this up here to the corner. Now we still have, we've looked in here and evaluate the expressions inside the grouping symbols. Well, we did that here, but now we move down here. We still have a grouping symbol. So I still need you to go ahead and multiply this out. So 5 times 3 is 15. Okay, and have we gotten rid of all of our expressions inside the grouping symbols? Yeah, we have. There's no grouping symbols here anymore. Are there any powers to evaluate? Nope, there's not. How about multiply and divide in order from left to right? Are there any multiplication in here? No. How about add and subtract in order from left to right? Well, yeah, we got an addition right here. So we go left to right. 14 plus 15 equals 29. Okay, moving on, I want to go ahead and do a real-world example here. Now, this is an example out of your book. We're gonna talk money here just a little bit. We have Julian orders crepe paper, balloons, and favors for the school dance. What is the total cost? Okay, so we're trying to figure out what is the total cost among the whole thing. So if we know that up here that crepe paper is 3 rolls at a unit cost of 2, we're gonna go ahead and go 3 times 2. Then we're going to add here. We're going to come back over here, and we know that balloons are 2 boxes at $7 each. Excuse me, balloons are 4 boxes at $5 each. 4 times 5.
You guys do lunch.
Then continue on, we have she orders favors for the school dance. So 2 boxes at $7 a piece. We're going to go ahead and add that to times 7, okay? Now if we look back up here in our order of operations, evaluate all expressions inside the grouping symbols. Well, do we have any grouping symbols? No, we don't. Do we have any powers? No, we don't. Multiply and divide in order from left to right. Step number 3, we have 3 times 2. We have multiplication and left to right, but let's make sure we don't add quite yet. So we multiply left to right. We're going to start with the first one. 3 times 2 is 6. 4 times 5 is 20. 7 times 2 is 14. Now bring your addition signs down, okay? Now moving on just a little bit more. We have addition from left to right now, step number 4. So 6 plus 20 is 26 plus 14. 26 plus 14, ladies and gentlemen, is 40.